Welcome to an edition of Brooklyn Versus, everybody. On this edition, we're talking about combat sports. I'm your host, Dr. Philly Kaggs, and tonight's challenges are Stephen James.
Rich Hahn is going to get the beating of his life.
And Rich Hahn.
Mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2. Stephen James about to get the pause.
So please like, share, and subscribe to the network, and may the best argument win. Welcome to another edition of Brooklyn Versus, everybody. I'm your host, Dr. Philly Kaggs. To my left, Stephen James. To his left, Rich Hahn. Got a great crew. Budding rivalry, I see already. And we're talking combat sports today. So you know the deal, Brooklyn Versus. Best argument always wins. These guys get 30 seconds to make their arguments. I make the final say. 10 points to each argument that wins. After that, we have a little challenge. You might have already scoped it out. We have a challenge, and that's worth 20 points. Grand winner, 50 points out there. Who's going to get the most is the grand winner for today. We're talking combat sports. So the two big combat sports right now are boxing and MMA. So, Stephen, I'm going to start with you. What would you say is the more entertaining product, boxing or MMA? Your 30 seconds starts now.
I would say boxing is not the premier. It has to be MMA, and here's why. Because of the way that boxing is set up, you got the WBC, the WBA, you have all these different divisions. You never know who the true title is. UFC is the branding. When you think mixed martial arts, you don't think Bellator, you think UFC. There's one clear heavyweight champion, one clear division, as opposed to the boxing commissions, which have so many. You never know who the undisputed champion is.
All right. Rich, your 30 seconds starts now.
Stephen, I agree with you. However, I don't think it's about the different leagues and weight classes, because I think K1 and Bellator is just as entertaining as UFC. But I think what makes UFC stand out more than boxing is the different fighting techniques that each fighter brings to the table. You got Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you got Taekwondo, you got wrestling, you got boxing in there, you got kickboxing, you got all different kind of fighting forms coming together and see who, ultimately put together the best form of fighting.
That's it. So, Rich, but do you think that his point of the undisputed and all that, do you think that fact that it gets molded like that, do you think that hurts boxing?
I don't think it hurts boxing at all.
Really?
How? How does it not?
I kind of see it as having a different league of sorts compared to major league sports. So you got Western Conference, Eastern Conference, you got different divisions, and then your championship goes up and you're like the championship of the whole league. Boxing, little different. However, I kind of feel it is a different league. So, but you got boxers holding on to those titles from different leagues. You get multiple.
But you got a guy who's like, oh, I'm the WBC, the IBF, the W.
Yeah, you're recognized throughout the different leagues as the best boxer in that category.
It's confusing for the fans. It's not entertaining because no one follows the rankings. There's too many commissions. There's too many commissions.
Maybe too many, but I don't think a boxer having multiple belts is confusing.
I have to agree with Stephen. I think it is confusing. I think boxing really. You mentioned Eastern and Western Conference like that. I don't think it's like that because after every basketball season, there's a crown champ who's the undisputed champ. You go years that there's no more undisputed champions. That was when we think of Rocky Marciano or Muhammad Ali or even Mike Tyson. We think of the champ. We don't think of Klitschko had this title, and Anthony Joshua had this title, and then Ruiz had this title, and
you never know
who was the guy that just knocked out from Brooklyn.
Anthony Joshua just got knocked out
before that. Delonte
Wilder.
Wilder, thank you. Delonte Wilder. They have great boxers, but they're all over the place. I think boxing has been hurt by that. I did like your argument that different fighting styles, but
your question was about entertainment.
Yeah. And I think No,
well, how can you be entertained if you're confused about who the winner is?
How are you confused about the winner is? You see the winner on TV or on whatever.
But if you only put up one belt, one guy puts up just the WBC title, but he still has 4 other titles and he loses that one title. How do you measure the importance? I think that hurts in the
entertainment status. I think that hurts in the mass appeal to people. Okay. That's what I'm saying. I think that hurts in the mass appeal to people. So I'm going to give this round to Stephen James.
Shoot it.
Just which do you guys like more? very quickly. Do you like boxing or MMA more?
I grew up a boxing fan, but I prefer MMA because of the clarity.
I actually switched recently. I used to like UFC more, but I've been following boxing more recently, and
It's a resurgence.
And I feel like boxing is a little more entertaining because the most recent fight, Ruiz Jr. versus
That's why I like boxing. I like boxing more too, and I think it's just
that was such a fun fight.
I think it's just been hurt by all these things.
That was a really fun fight.
Wilder and Fury was great.
It was great. Yeah. As the heavyweight division goes, so goes boxing.
So that's for which is the better. So let's get a little specific about combat sports. We'll talk about professional boxing. Rich, who is the greatest professional boxer of all time? Your 30 seconds starts now.
The greatest boxer of all time is Sugar Ray Robinson, and because not because that he was the best fighter per se, but he dominated in four weight categories. On top of that, he had 175 wins and only 19 losses compared to 175. Muhammad Ali didn't reach 100 wins. I mean, back in the day, 1960s, you fought a lot more, but he dominated 4 weight classes. Lightweight.
There we go.
Yep, middleweight, welterweight.
Oh, all right. Steven, your 30 seconds starts now.
The greatest boxer of all time is Muhammad Ali. No one changed the game of boxing. 175 wins, whatever, when you're fighting bums. This is a guy who practically invented a whole style of boxing. The rope-a-dope, the Philly shell, all of that. Perfected a craft, changed the game of boxing, and was a cultural icon the entire time. I don't know how Muhammad Ali is not your first, second, and third answer. I don't get it.
Answer his question.
My rebuttal is there's no Muhammad Ali without Sugar Ray Robinson.
Fair, but there's no boxing being as culturally relevant through that period without him. You don't get Tyson. You don't get mainstream appeal past, I'm sorry, I should say the spectacle. He brought spectacle back to boxing.
You want to talk about spectacle? You want to talk about spectacle? Sugar Ray Robinson, what else he brought is that he brought the category of pound for pound fighter. Because of him, now you can jump up weight classes and challenge yourself. And he started at lightweight. He went up 3 weight classes.
Sure.
To
find competition, because the competition that he faced was not nearly as great as Muhammad Ali. Look at Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather was considered one of the most pound for pound.
You called his other competitors bumps. You can't call other...
By comparison. Name some of his biggest fights. Did he go up against a guy like Foreman? Did he go up against a guy like Frazier? Did he go up against these guys? Did he beat a guy like Sonny Liston?
But
I mean, come on.
But then
can you name some of his biggest fights?
Details.
Sugar Ray Robinson versus
it's Jake LaMotta, isn't it?
Jake LaMotta was the biggest one.
Yeah, well, I gave it to you.
I know, sorry. You gotta give me a second.
Details.
That's true. Stickler for the details.
I know.
We have a recurring theme here.
That was actually one of the biggest boxing matches.
It was. It was in the movie, Raging Bull. Great movie. I do. Your argument is good. 175 wins. You know where I'm going with this. 107 wins, 19. But you got first crack at it, and you didn't pick Muhammad Ali. I don't get that. On culture, influence, it's tough to compare them because Muhammad Ali, would he ever fight Sugar Ray Robinson? Was Sugar Ray Robinson ever heavyweight?
No,
it's tough.
I don't think he would have gotten
That's unfortunate. It's tough to say like who could have ever fought in them, but Muhammad Ali, just the range of fighters that he beat and the different ways that he beat them and how he was getting older and just how he upstart, it's tough to trump Muhammad Ali in that category. You did good, but then you couldn't even think. But then Steven made his argument because Steven called them bums and you couldn't even name one of them. So I gave you a little time. He wasn't.
He's not a bum, but
I gave you a little time too. I didn't rush the answer.
I know. Actually, Steven threw me. I'm not gonna lie. He threw me with the counter question.
Knocked
me out.
The counter question got it. The counter question got you.
The counter question got me.
He said they were bums. You said they weren't, and you had nobody to say.
I had nobody.
So Steven gets the 10 points. All right, guys. So now we switch from boxing. We're going to MMA. There's some great MMA guys. Steven, who's the greatest MMA fighter of all time?
I would probably consider Randy Couture to be the greatest MMA fighter ever because, to your point earlier, there's a guy who did the unprecedented. He won multiple championships in different weight classes. He was Captain America, a guy at 41 years of age who confounded expectation. He was known just as a wrestler. And then he goes out there and he beats guys with knockout power like Chuck Liddell. He goes through guys like Tito Ortiz at multiple weight classes. So Randy Couture is my pick, 100%.
That's good. And Rich, your 30 seconds starts now.
Steven, that's a good fighter you picked there, but I'm going to go with George St. Pierre. To your argument, from a previous argument, he was the best MMA fighter, period. His record shows it. He's only lost 2 fights, and he's done the same thing with different weight classes, moved up. But what I like about George St. Pierre is you watch his highlights and how he wins fights. It's never one way. He's not a boxer. He's actually more of a wrestler, judo, jiu-jitsu.
There we go. What is the record, comparatively speaking, ballpark between George St. Pierre and Randy Couture?
George St. Pierre, I believe, is
it's like 39-2, and I think Randy is somewhere in the 27-3, 4. So George St. Pierre had more fights.
Yeah. You guys but you also guys, no old school guys you talk about. Do you think the new school guys are just much better than the old school guys UFC? Gracie, Shamrock.
Oh, Shamrock.
They're better fighters and better conditioned athletes now. And plus, back then in the early days, a fighter had one style, and that's what they did. Yeah. You had a karate guy, you had a jiu-jitsu guy, you had a boxer. Now you have to have a basis in everything to even get on the playing field.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like George St. Pierre has more of a wider range there.
I would say he has more of a wider base coming in, but Randy Couture has beaten guys with his wrestling. He's beaten them standing up. He's beaten them with chokes. He's done all of that. George St. Pierre, the biggest knock on him is he didn't do anything flashy. He was just automatic. He just was automatic.
So what makes he hasn't won as much as Randy Couture hasn't won as much as George.
He didn't have as many fights.
And you said George St. Pierre is automatic.
Randy Couture had a longer career.
Why would I give it Randy Couture over George St. Pierre then?
Because Randy Couture was more important to the sport. Here's the thing. Look, the ratings when UFC became a hot property. Who was there?
We're going important.
So was
hot
George
property. McGregor's a hot property right now.
Well, yeah.
George St. Pierre was there.
George St.
Same
Pierre.
with Tito Ortiz,
But when
with
George
Chuck Liddell. They were all the
St.
original guys. What do you mean? He
When
was
George
there.
St. Pierre got knocked out by Matt Serra, what happened? He disappeared. Nothing. The guy is not a marquee player. I'm sorry.
You can't say people disappear. You train. He trained for 3-4 years.
3-4 years.
All right. That was a long time to train. But it seems like you guys picked 2 similar guys.
For sure.
And when it comes down to it, then you didn't give me a compelling argument to tell me why he can't overcome the numbers. So, Rich, you're back on the board. You're getting 10 points for George St. Pierre. There we go.
That was my Muhammad Ali argument. He had the best record in mixed martial arts.
There you go. See, but he had reasons why Muhammad Ali could overcome with record-wise.
Yeah.
And
I could have gone into the decision, and I should have gone into the fact that the division for George St. Pierre was a bit weaker until later in his career. I will say until later in his career than Randy Couture's.
I also think he has
2 weight divisions
all the time right now.
You can't say he hasn't had any. You can't say he hasn't had an impact. He's like a coach now. He's got a team of fighters now.
So is Randy though.
Right, well, this is UFC too right here. This is a Red
I
Rocker.
love the graphics. Look at
This
these.
is Red
gotta make
Rocker
up
and
here.
the Blue Bomber here.
Let's get these graphics. Is this what we're doing?
Yeah, this is our challenge.
This
This is our challenge here. So, you guys.
So is it 2 out of 3?
I think it's best of 7.
best of 7.
All right, start your own corner. Pull
okay.
back.
So, Steven, you're going to be the Red Rocker?
Red Rocker. What's your guys' name?
Blue Bomber, right?
Blue Bomber.
So, guys, this is it.
look at
Best of
this
7. You know how someone wins, their head gets knocked on a swivel. Your head better be on a swivel because it can get knocked right up.
All right, don't move until he says ding ding.
All right, that's true. Ding, ding. First round. We got a jam up. All right. Steven takes the first one.
Shooter. All right, back to your corner.
All right, back to your corners. All right, guys. Get ready. Ding, ding.
Oh!
Wow, that was a Tyson knockout.
Yeah. Little Mac.
right.
Bobbing and weaving.
Rich down 2-0 already. Here we go. All right, back to your corners, guys.
I'm back.
Ding, ding.
Woo! That would be me.
Yeah.
Let the
I didn't,
replay
did
show.
it? Was it?
I even saw it. I saw Stevens go right after mine. I saw mine
It
go.
was yours for okay. That's sportsmanship.
Honesty,
I
I
like
appreciate
it. It was
that.
because I couldn't catch it. I would have to go to the video.
But now,
All right,
I
3-0.
need a fight.
Need to
All
stop
right. Ding, ding. Was it him again? This is quick. You guys seem
You know in your heart what just happened.
I know.
Wow.
I got
4. 4.
You got swept.
4.
I got one.
No, you got swept
I
in
know
here.
this. I got swept in this.
Yeah, you got the 10 points. Good.
I'm the Thanos of Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Later, Rich.
Good thing I didn't give you a. Good thing you didn't get swept out of that. That could have been the first sweep. We're still having a sweep.
No, that was close.
50 to 0. But
Honestly, I really thought I had the first argument with the.
You didn't.
Oh yeah. Well,
Muhammad Ali.
did
Yeah.
good. You did good.
Omnipotent.
tomato, tomato.
Potato, tomato. Well, it's more like it.
That's our episode for Combat Sports, everybody. May the best this place where the best argument always wins. Have a good one, everybody.
I think I got him with potato, tomato.
Yeah. Well, I'll see you next time.
Oh, undefeated, winless.
I am
Just
winless.
so you know.
Go Bridgeside.
Tonight on Brooklyn vs. Stephen James took down Rich Hahn 40-10. Here are the season standings for Brooklyn versus.